Time for my February TBR. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and today I have got my February TBR for you. I have got 5 books to the right of me here. I'm very excited for these. 2 of them are, well, one of them is 100% something I need to get to because it's book 2 in a series that I started and absolutely loved the first one, and I'm very excited for it. We will link these 5 books down below for you guys, so if you're intrigued with any of them, you can check them out. Also down below is the Bookstagram, the podcast, Danielle's channel, all that fun stuff. And yeah, very exciting times. If I still sound a little groggy, I am still getting over being sick. And yeah, well, sick again, I should say. This time of year has been awful so far with sicknesses. So, but yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into the books. All right, the first book up is an author that I have read a lot of short stories from, and I've loved most of what he has written. And that is Currency of Souls by Keelan Patrick Burke. So Keelan Patrick Burke is a very good short story author for me. He's been probably one of my top people I go to with short stories, if not the top person I go to. I'm very excited with this one. I read the back a little bit. It sounds like that there's this town. Welcome to Eddie's Tavern. It's a waterhole in a near dead town, and there's a bunch of people that we're going to meet in this. Among them is Reverend Hill, who will be in at 11, regular as clockwork, to tell them who's going to die and who's going to drive. Welcome to Eddie's, where tonight for the first time in 3 years, nothing will go according to plan and hell will come to Milestone. So it sounds very intriguing to me. It's kind of like this bar type thing. There's all these people. There's a mute giant. There's a nudist guy who wants everybody to apologize to him. There's a barmaid. There's all these people here and it sounds very intriguing. And Keelan Patrick Burke, like I said, he's really great with short stories, and I've loved most of what he's written so far. So I'm very excited to get to this. It sounds good. And again, it's on the shorter side. I don't know if I've said that yet. Duh. But yeah, very exciting. I'm very excited to get to this. There's another car book that I read a while ago called Racing with the Devil, and I cannot remember who the author was, but for some reason, I've wanted to read that again, and maybe I will if I get to it, but I do not remember who the author was for that book. But it was a really good book, and the car on the cover of this is giving me that kind of vibe. But obviously not the devil, but who knows. But yeah, very exciting, and yeah, there you have Currency of Souls by Keelan Patrick Burke. All right, next up is another author that I've read a couple of books from, and honestly reading the bibliography on the back flap here. I'm actually having a hard time remembering which ones I've read and have not read, but I know I've read a few from her, and that is Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. So there's going to be a bad glare on this, but cover looks pretty cool. And I'm trying to remember, I think it's Rock, Paper, Scissors I've read. Sometimes I Lie. Daisy Darker. Daisy Darker was phenomenal. I love that book. But anyway, this book, we're following Arthur Grady Green as he is having the worst, best day of his life. He calls his wife Abby to share some exciting news as she is driving home. He hears Abby slam on the brakes and says there's something on the road. Over his protest, she goes out to see what it is. And when he gets to her car, it's up against a cliff, headlights are on, car's open, phone's there, she's not. A year later, Grady's still overcome with grief and desperate to know what happened to Abby. He can't sleep and he can't write. So he travels to a tiny, remote Scottish island to try to get his life back on track. And then he sees the impossible, a woman who looks exactly like his missing wife. It sounds intriguing. Like I said, most of the stuff I've read from Alice Feeney have all been really good and very, very exciting. Again, Daisy Darker is one of my favorite books I've read that's not Stephen King, probably of all time, probably in the top 10. So I'm very excited with this one. It sounds very intriguing, and yeah, we'll have to see what this one does. So there you have it, Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. All right, the next book on my TBR. Here's what I have to say about this. We just purchased the 3rd book in this series, Onyx Storm. We also have the 2nd book, Iron Flame. Both of those are in special edition form, like original special edition. We just got Onyx Storm in a Come Shop With Me. If you have not seen that video, check it out up here, or down below, wherever we were going to put it. And it's a very exciting series. A lot of people really like the series, and I have not read anything. And to be perfectly honest, I know nothing about it. I just know it's a fantasy series, and it has dragons and stuff. So, it's been on my TBR before, but I really want to try and get to it this time. And that's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So, this is a holiday edition where it has the black sprayed edges, and it's just a really cool looking edition. The original of this was gold with stuff on the side. I think it was dragons. And those are rare to find. Iron Flame is the second book, and it looks similar to this, and I think that was the special edition. I might be wrong. I don't know. I don't think that any of the Iron Flames had like the dragons on the side. But Onyx Storm came out. It's gray, silverish, whatever. And that one has like cool stuff on the side. Again, I'm more describing the book covers just because I really don't know anything about the books. I just know it's about like dragons. It's in a fantasy world, and I'm not the best with fantasy. I will say I've read a couple, and the next book you'll hear me talk about is one that I've read the first book of, and I absolutely loved it. So yeah, enter the brutal and elite world of a war college for dragon riders. Sounds interesting. And yes, this is the first time I probably have read that flap in probably a year or two. That's, this has been out for a while, and I just never got to it, so. But yeah, very exciting times. I really am hoping to get to this. If you have read Fourth Wing or like read the series thus far, let me know your thoughts. Keep it spoiler free. Do you think it's a series I'm going to like, mainly being a Stephen King fan? I don't know if I will or not, but I'm hoping I do. So there you have Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Okay, the next book up is it's the second book in the Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. So this book, and I'm not going to lie, I don't remember the second movie at all. I remember the first one having a lot of stuff going on, meeting everybody and everything going on with that one. And then the third one, I remember, how it ends and all that kind of stuff. But The Two Towers, I really don't remember that movie, to be perfectly honest. I really don't. So this will be a nice little refresher reading this book. If you do not know, I did a reading vlog of the first book, which I'll link that up here, which is The Fellowship of the Ring. And I absolutely loved it. Gave it 5 stars so far, and we're only going to be in February, so I mean, it's bias, I would say. Definitely going to be a contender for Book of the Year, but I will say it's going to depend on how books 2 and 3 go. These ones might be better, or even one of the other ones. Fourth Ring might be better. You never know. And that's the magical thing with books. You never know what's going to be the top one. I don't know if the King book this year will, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, very excited with this one. The Two Towers, we're continuing where we left off, where, well, I can't really say anything because I don't want to spoil it. Shoot. Okay, well, I can't spoil anything, but just know that the party is basically broken up, and some things happened, and some people are dead. I will leave it at that. And yes, that's a huge cliffhanger. But you know what? Read the book. Or watch the movie. Well, don't watch the movie. Yeah, watch the movie. Do all the above. Read the book, watch the movies, watch The Lord of the Rings. Be a part of this awesome series as I'm trying to start getting into. Once I finish books 1, 2, and 3, I might hit up The Hobbit. I know that sounds weird to say. I might read The Hobbit, I should say. And yeah, I don't know yet. I guess it depends on how this series goes. Should I have read The Hobbit first? Maybe. I don't know. But yes, Two Towers. I'm very excited to get to this book this month. I'm going to try and knock out Lord of the Rings the first 3 months here. So March should be The Return of the King. And yeah, very exciting times. So there you have The Two Towers. But J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, Book 2. All right. So for February, I always do a King book a month. Or try to. January was a flop. I did not get to one. I put Dreamcatcher in there, and I just did not get to it. Lord of the Rings took a while, and a couple other books took a little while. Just kind of hit a little rut, I will say. Obviously, with being sick, other stuff went on with work. Some other personal stuff was going on. So, it is what it is. Nothing I can do about it. But for February, last year, I think it was in February. I could be wrong. I read Lisey's story, which is kind of like a love story. Well, pretty much is a love story about a woman whose husband passes away, and he's a very well-known author and writer, and basically what happens with her. There's a song that's in the audiobook for this that when the stars go blue, I think is what it's called, when the stars go blue or something like that. And I actually have it on a playlist on Spotify, and every now and again when the song pops up, it makes me think of this book, and lately it's been popping up a lot, so I'm taking it as a sign I should probably read this book. No other indication why I should. So, but yeah, Lisey Landon lost her husband, Scott Landon, and basically what's going on is these people are trying to get a hold of his unpublished work, all of his work in general, and she's fighting it. There's this Booyah Moon, there's all this cool stuff that happens in this book, and this was one of my favorite books of 2024. I think it came in third or fourth or something like that, maybe even second. But yeah, I'm very excited to get to this book. It was a very solid book I read last year, and I want to get into it again. It was very cool. So, but yeah, that is my Stephen King pick of February, Lisey's Story by, Stephen King. All right, guys, so those are the 5 books I plan to read in the month of February. Again, I wish January we did a little bit better, and by we, I mean me. I just kind of delayed a lot of stuff and just made the reading for the start of January not all that good. So, but yeah, I'm very excited to get to these 5 books. And again, we will link them down below if you're intrigued with any of them. Also down below, Danielle's channel, podcast, Bookstagram, Goodreads, all that fun stuff will be down there. And let me know what you're planning to read for the month of February. And if you've read any of these, let me know your thoughts down below. Keep them spoiler free. Again, let me know about Fourth Wing. I know there's a lot of hype with that book, and I really want to really read it. But again, I always get a little iffy going into fantasy just because I tried the Wheel of Time and I really just didn't get into it. There's other fantasy books I've tried. I just couldn't really get into them. But I don't know. Maybe this one will be the one besides The Lord of the Rings. So, but yeah, very exciting times. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Later.